Welcome to Electrified. It's your host, Dylan Loomis. Those of you in the States, I hope you all had a very nice and safe 4th of July weekend and that you did not get sunburned like myself. But getting right into it, Elon tweeted, "Regen using motor braking means brake pads almost never need to be replaced. This is an item that I think goes somewhat overlooked with the EV movement, and this was in response to this article. And this article is basically a Tesla owner who runs an airport shuttle service, and over the last 3 years, he has accumulated 400,000 kilometers, which is 248,000 miles. And so almost 250,000 miles, and that his car is still running on the original brake pads, which is really impressive because typically brake pads need changed every 50 to 70,000 miles. And this car is still on the original battery pack, and the initial range when he first bought the vehicle was 235 miles. And after, once again, 250,000 miles, he is still getting a full charge up to about 213 miles of range, which is only about a 10% battery degradation. And over this 250,000 miles, he has only spent about $3,700 in service and repairs, including replacing a camera from too many high pressure washes, so be wary of that, an air conditioning compressor, and a drive shaft replacement. So once again, once people adjust to getting used to the actual activity of the regenerative braking or the one pedal driving, not only is that usually more enjoyable for the driver, but when it comes to service and repairs over the life of ownership, this is a major benefit to electric vehicles. And Tesla is set to open a store and service center in Yucatan, Mexico as part of the global development plan. Now, if you remember, Mexico was actually in the discussion for Tesla's next factory when it was Tulsa, Oklahoma, or Austin, Texas. Mexico was in the conversation, but there is some federal regulation in Mexico that was limiting the amount of megawatts or the power that the facility could use, so that was kind of ruled out. That was at least one of the reasons. But Tesla is still set to expand in Mexico in another capacity. So this is the first store in Yucatan and the 4th store in Mexico as part of their expansion. This one in particular combines a store, a service center, and charging stations. And just as a quick aside, a lot of people say that Israel is going to be the litmus test for how good Tesla's full self-driving really becomes because of the difficulty of the roads and the traffic, but I think Mexico could be on that list as well. Our guy Sawyer tweeted, "Tesla now has an estimated 1.186 million Cybertruck reservations, up from 1 million just 6 weeks ago. It's an average of 4,400 new reservations per day since May. 74% of all reservations have full self-driving. There is a reservation tracker, and I will link this tweet below if you want to go take a closer look at this spreadsheet, or you can screenshot right now and then zoom in later if you would like." And then he added, to which I would agree, "I guesstimate 40% of those reservations will be canceled due to many ordering multiple Cybertrucks to run as robotaxi fleets, which is probably not going to be ready by the time Cybertrucks start rolling out. But if all orders went through, that would represent $75 billion in revenue for Tesla, or even half of which would be, roughly $37 billion. Now, a few things to think about here. So this reservation number is with zero advertising. Of course, Tesla just had the Cybertruck event and they've been driving it around the country at different places, but that is really the only exposure and the only marketing that Tesla has done, essentially spending near $0. And you have to imagine once more non-Tesla fans actually see these vehicles on the road, everybody knows they're a head-turning vehicle. They look super futuristic and they really do start to make other cars on the road look dated. I think people that ordinarily would not be truck people like myself and my wife, well, we already have plans and goals to own a Cybertruck, and I think this will be the case for a lot more people. So this really is going to be a situation where the demand far outstrips the supply of Cybertrucks for years to come. And I personally am so psyched to see Cybertrucks go into production and then to see them on the road and to watch all the YouTube videos of the initial reviews. It's going to be an awesome time. Real quick, a tip of the cap to Norway. They are doing an awesome job in promoting and adopting EVs. As you can see, the June Norway passenger registrations, battery electric vehicles, so full BEVs, not including the plug-in hybrids, which I'm not really a big fan of, as you guys know, 65% in June. So that is an awesome statistic. And if you go ahead and include the plug-in hybrids, that takes the total to 85% of all new car sales in June in Norway were some form of electric. it's great to see. And speaking of Israel, Tesla's newest market, the Model 3 is already the second best-selling car in Israel in June, just 10 units shy of first place, which is held by the Toyota Corolla. So as we know, this Tesla Israel experiment has been the latest endeavor for Tesla, where they opened up the online system and they said that they were going to basically test the waters to see what the demand for Tesla was going to be in Israel, and now they have started shipping cars to the country. The Israeli market is now flooding with thousands of Model 3s, making it the second best-selling car regardless of engine type in the country in June, as I mentioned, just 10 units behind the Corolla. Data from the Israel Licensing Authority, which shows that 1,880 Model 3 units were delivered in June. And you have to keep in mind that the Corolla is actually cheaper and it's used for institutional markets, meaning that actually accounts for most of the Corolla sales, while Tesla is only sold to individuals in this market. And in the first 6 months of 2021, more Model 3s appeared on Israel's roads than all Audi and BMW sales combined. And the Model 3 is outperforming popular and much cheaper models like the Hyundai Ioniq, the Tucson, the Kia Niro, and the Toyota RAV4. Now, yes, so far in 2021, Tesla still only delivered 2,900 Model 3s, which in the grand scheme of things is not a massive number, but we obviously need to keep things relative and compare to the monthly total sales figures for all other brands. And either late this year or early next year, we should see the Model Y and then the new Model S and Model X hit this market as well. Now, yes, of course, there is going to be some level of pent-up demand for Tesla, as many people have been waiting for this time where Teslas are available in Israel, but it's definitely a good start and should be reason for Tesla to focus on this market and to continue to expand here, building out the infrastructure and superchargers. And as we know, this market is going to be known for Tesla Energy, as one could argue that is really the major potential for Tesla in this market. And yes, to some degree, the jury is still going to be out on how well Teslas will be received in Israel, but all we know for now is they are off to a very strong start. And you guys have probably seen by now, but in case you missed it, Elon tweeted, "Friday afternoons are usually Tesla design studio time. Cybertruck will be almost exactly what was shown, but they are adding rear wheel steering so it can do tight turns and maneuver with high agility. A lot of other great things coming." Now, I think a lot of people are getting carried away and saying that the Cybertruck's going to be doing the crab walk and tank turns. This tweet does not necessarily imply that those abilities are going to come. However, adding rear wheel steering is definitely an awesome option because the Cybertruck is already a pretty long vehicle, so this should really help a great deal in terms of maneuvering in tight spots. But I personally don't want to speculate as to exactly what that functionality will be. Like I said, tank turns like the Rivian and crab walking like the Hummer, we're not necessarily getting those exact features, but time will tell what we get. This tweet from Zach was pretty awesome. He changed his car's name to 2 weeks. You gotta love it. And Elon replied, "Haha, FSD Beta 9 is shipping soon, I swear. Generalized self-driving is a hard problem. It requires solving a large part of real-world AI. Didn't expect it to be so hard, but the difficulty is obvious in retrospect. Nothing has more degrees of freedom than reality." And real quick, some awesome comments. Whole Mars, "I will train my children to be testers in case I pass away before it ships." Soph had a fair point saying, "Elon, it doesn't have to be perfect for beta. Wouldn't it help getting more data and feedback sooner rather than later?" It's a fair point. And basically, degrees of freedom just means the variability in the circumstances. That's really all you need to know for now. But what does this soon mean this time? Who knows? A quick anecdote from Jeff Tutorials YouTube on Reddit, basically saying he drove the Plaid S for 30 minutes and now he prefers the yoke to a regular steering wheel because your hands sit more comfortably as opposed to the round wheel. And I'm only sharing this because I think this is going to be the case for many, many people. So don't knock the yoke until you try it. So Tesla is actually battling the fossil fuel market in Australia right now. As you can see, Emma Fagan, Tesla's head of energy policy and regulation, she just wrote a white paper basically to give to the Australian government as they just came up with this plan for 2025. They're essentially trying to redesign their entire electrical grid, and they were talking about some options for sustaining and having some fossil fuel operations for longer, while Tesla said, hey, no, like, look, this is a far superior option. Talking, of course, about solar and battery storage. But I'm really sharing this as an incentive for you guys to go ahead and actually read this white paper. So once again, I will link it below. It's about 12 pages long. I would say it's maybe like a 30-minute read, but it will really help you to understand Tesla and their thought process when it comes to battery energy storage and solar and electrification and all of that for the grid. So if you're interested in hearing more about that, go ahead and check the link below. I think it'll be worth your time. And another quick note, the Model 3 is the outright best-selling vehicle in the UK, as plug-in electric vehicles take a 17.2% share in the month of June. Now, the UK is made up of, I believe, Wales, England, Northern Ireland, and Scotland. Somebody please correct me if I'm wrong. It's kind of hard for us Americans to understand really what's going on over there, but I think that's what technically the UK consists of. And as you can see, for June, we have the total PEVs at 17%, and battery electric vehicles, which is the metric I like to track, is sitting in double-digit territory at 10%, so that is also very good to see. And the Model 3 was the overall best-selling vehicle with 5,468 units sold in the month of June. And as you can see, that means that Tesla is currently taking about 31% of the electric market share in the UK in June. And I just wanted to share one more article with you. Once again, this is linked below because I really want to encourage you guys to go actually read this for yourselves. This one is probably only a 10 to 15 minute read, but it will give you some really interesting insights as to Toyota's manufacturing principles and how they got to where they are today. Of course, now that lead should be decreasing and Tesla is set to take over, but it talks about Tesla's principles and how they are taking some things from Toyota and iterating and using this lean manufacturing method. And it talks a lot about Tesla's benefits and their manufacturing prowess. So I'd highly encourage a read, once again linked below if you are interested. But that's all for today, so please take a second to like the video if you did. I hope that you guys have an excellent day, and a big thank you to everybody on the next screen.